Hey guys, Kelly back again with another budget Force of Will deck profile thing suggestion. Today I'm looking at another deck core. This one, similar to the card suits, revolves around the majority of your deck being a very synergistic common and uncommon core. So the one I chose to do today was the Wizard of Oz cards. Very similar, and I say this like I really mean it, extremely similar to how the deck around the card suits works. Most of your stuff is commons and uncommons, and then you have one rare that kind of adds it together. However, the good thing about this one is, unlike the cards where you really do kind of need the queen, I've tried it, and you can play this core without Dorothy. So if you really, really can't get her, you don't need her, because these guys work off of themselves. She's just an additional help, basically. So, I guess I'll start by going over Dorothy, the shiny card. She's a rare out of the Two Towers, the second set in the Grimm block. She's a 2-drop 4/4. Fairy Tale. Her continuous effect is whenever this card deals damage to your opponent, put the top card of your Magic Stone deck into your Magic Stone area. And it's for that effect that I think she might be kind of hard to get, because I know some people might like a ramp card for 2. She's kind of hard to splash into stuff just because you can't really use her second effect for anything, but she, like I said, she might be kind of hard to get because of that first effect. However, the second effect is what you use in the Oz deck. I mean, if you can get the first effect to work, like, go for it. That's amazing. But the second effect is what she really works with the Oz cards for. She has an awakening, so when you cast her, pay an extra green. When she enters, reveal the top 5 cards of your main deck and put any number of cards named Heartless Tin Man, Brainless Scarecrow, Cowardly Lion, and or Silver Shoes among them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So, even though she's not a forced shuffle, she would be way better if she could shuffle your deck, but she does allow you to grab a lot of cards off the top of the deck. And if you're running all of these at a playset in a 40-card deck, you're really likely to hit them. So, if you play her and you reveal any of these, you reveal in the top 5, you get to your hand. So she's a major plus. Obviously, she is kind of luck-based, but still, it's a good card, and she adds to these, but because of that, she's not mandatory. So, next I'll start by looking at the cards she can fetch. The first one I'll look at is Silver Shoes. Silver Shoes is a 1-drop Edition Resignator. The reason why this card isn't a sleeve, but all the other ones are, is because I actually run this core in my Grimm deck. And I do it to keep my Grimm deck as budget as possible, because let's be honest, you can get really carried away with that ruler. And we don't have a lot of stuff, and I don't want to take stuff from my teammates, so I actually run all of these except for Silver Shoes. But it's not to say Silver Shoes isn't a bad card. It's just a 1-drop. Resonator of this gets +3/+3. So you can pop it on anything on your board and give it a bit power boost. Put it on Dorothy. She's a bit bigger, so you can actually potentially swing and get that extra Magic Stone, or put it on your other guys who are already getting big. And the whole point of this is just to get really big. It's more aggro than the card suit core thing, but it's still pretty good. Card suit had more removal, but that's because it was black and red. This one's green, so it's more like just kind of hit things. So, Silver Shoes are pretty good. It's a 1-drop. And if you were trying to go budget, definitely play it because it's fetchable with Dorothy. Next up, we will look at Cowardly Lion, who out of the 3, he's my favorite because he gives himself more counters. This whole deck deals with awakening counters, which they get doing certain things, but the reason why I like Cowardly Lion is because his effect is whenever this card deals damage to your opponent, put an achievement counter on it, meaning he gets bigger by himself. You don't need anything else. You don't need to do anything except deal damage and find a way to deal damage. Now, it might be kind of hard at first because he's 2/2, but he's also a 1-drop, so if you get him in your opening hand, you're guaranteed to have a better chance to swing and get stuff. You're pretty much guaranteed to get at least 1 counter on him and make him a 5/5. So he's my favorite out of all of them. Easiest to use. Definitely the one you want to open with. Next up after Cowardly Lion, I'll do... Actually, I'm gonna do him. Heartless Tin Man. Heartless Tin Man is also a 1-drop 2/2. They all are. His is a little bit more difficult. He says, when an addition is added to a resonator you control, or an addition field is put on your field, put an achievement counter on him. So he's still pretty easy to get counters on, and he can get multiple with himself, but you have to play it right. So that's another reason you would want to run these, because if you equip them to anything on your board, he gets an achievement counter. So it's almost like for a 1-drop, you get 2 shoes. So he's pretty good. Also, if you play Realm of Evolution, which I would highly suggest playing, you play it on the board, give him another achievement counter. So he's pretty good. You have to be running additions to use him, but he's still pretty good. And the last one is by far the cutest one, is Brain the Scarecrow. He's, same thing, 1-drop 2/2. When he's first effect is actually an enter. If you enter and you control Heartless Tin Man or Cowardly Lion, he gets an achievement counter. The reason why he's like my least favorite, because with his own effects, he can only get 1. And that's assuming these 2 are on the board when you play him. If not, he's literally just a 1-drop 2/2 that gets more powerful. So the reason achievement counters are important and you want to get as much on these guys as possible is because for every achievement counter on each guy, they get +3/+3. So like, if they all, like you play him, and you have this on the board, he's immediately a 5/5. So this whole deck runs off of achievement counters. Sorry, it's not centered. It's really easy to work, and there's actually some more cards that I'm going to show you guys that will make it work. Next up is the Wizard of Oz, because how can you have Dorothy without him? He is the most expensive card to play in the deck, also the strongest as base power, but he's really good because he says when you cast him and he enters your board, you search your deck for a 1-drop spell card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. However, if the card's name is Oz's Magic, you may play it without paying its cost instead of putting it into your hand. Then you shuffle your deck. So, he's amazing, because if you play him, you get to search this and play it immediately. So not only does he thin the deck, not only does he search, you get a free cast, and this card is essential for the deck. Because this card says when you play it, put up to 2, what are they called? Achievement counters on 2 things you control, so, or up to 1, my bad. So you get to pick 2 of your guys and put an achievement counter on them. So like you could put 2 on him or 2 on this. But it's also really good because if you do the Oz combo and play this, you get to draw a card as long as Oz is on your board. So not only do you buff your stuff, by playing Oz, you buff your stuff, you thin your deck, and you draw a card. Which is technically even more deck thinning. So, these 2 are amazing. They're both uncommon, so a little bit harder to get, but I don't think you'll have any trouble. Like I said, you don't need Dorothy to make it work. Dorothy would be essential if she could grab Oz, but she can't. The fact that she can only grab these 4 is what makes her a little bit, you don't really need her. But Oz is necessary. Oz and Oz's Magic are what you need to make this deck work. So that is basically the core of the deck, and I have 2 cards over here that I want to show you guys just to help out, or 3, my bad, I can count, that will make it a little bit more synergistic, give you more options, but that's basically the whole deck. So the first one I want to show you is the one I mentioned before, Realm of Evolution. This card's good because it's an addition field, so it will trigger your Tin Man to get a bonus, but it says fairy tale you control get +2/+2. Everything in this deck is a fairy tale, meaning everything is getting a buff. So it adds to your aggro effect. And to top it all off, it's a mini Grimm. You can pay 1 green and banish it, search your deck for a fairy tale card, and put it in your hand. So say you're just stuck, you're not getting the one you need, you know what you need. You can do this ability, say fetch your Oz, do the Oz combo, make your stuff bigger, draw a card, and then if you have another one, play it to make Tin Man even bigger. So this card is essential. I think it's fantastic, and it's still green. Now, the other cards I want to show you are if you want to get another cheap bling card, and if you're willing to run a dual color deck. So if you want to run another color, I would suggest white for these 2 cards. Now, he is amazing. He's Aesop, the Prince's Tutor. He is a 5/5 2-drop human, so he's not a fairy tale, meaning he won't get the buff from this, but he's still really good. His effect is, each fairy tale you control cannot be targeted by spells or abilities your opponent controls, meaning as long as he's on the board, all your other creatures are safe. which is fantastic because it prevents them from being able to bounce or blink or do whatever to your stuff to get rid of your counters and cause you to have to set up again. So he's really good, essential. I would highly suggest running a mono or a dual color deck to run him to protect your stuff. Another thing you can do to protect your stuff is Realm of Pure Spirits. This is an addition field, so buffs Tin Man. Recovered Resonators you control cannot be targeted by spells or abilities your opponent's controlled. So with these two on the board, you're amazingly safe, because with this on the board, as long as you do not attack with Aesop, then he will be safe, and as long as he's safe, your other stuff is safe. So, really good. These two are fantastic. And the last one is Fairy Tale. Fairy Tale isn't like a necessity, but I thought it was good enough to worth mentioning. I am playing these in Grimm, so because of that I get the full effect of Fairy Tale, which really helps this work. Fairy Tale is a 3-drop chant. Search your deck for a Fairy Tale monster, Resonator, reveal it, and put it into your hand. But if Grimm is your ruler, you may put it onto your field instead, so you get to pay it without casting the cost. But it does trigger the enter ability. So what I like to do with Grimm is play that, fetch Oz's effect, fetch Oz's magic. Like, you just thin a lot, you get to draw, you get your Oz, you get your counters. It's pretty good. Like I said, my Grimm deck is very cheap. However, because Grimm himself is not cheap, I don't consider him a budget ruler at all. This card is an iffy tech at best. It's another search, so it goes along with this to make sure you're hitting what you need, but it is a little pricey, so it's not something that you can do early game, and because it doesn't have any other effects like this, it's not seemingly as good. But it thins your deck, it lets you grab stuff, searching is always good. So, that is my second little budget deck core idea video. Let me know what you guys think. I've kind of done the two obvious ones at the moment, so if you guys really like this video, then I will go ahead and see if I can find, make a less obvious, like, oh, these cards all go together, let me put them in a deck, herder kind of idea. But if you like it, let me know. Leave a comment down below. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and have a good day.